All right. Hello, everybody. How you doing? And welcome back to another episode of CalChiro Live. Thank you so much for your patience over the last couple of weeks. I was out of town in Boston for the Chiro Congress. Can't wait to share with you guys a little bit more about what's happening on the national chiropractic scale. I'm going to put together some content for you and get that out here in the next few weeks. And we'll be bringing that up at our Seaside Conference as well in March. I know that feels like it's 3 or 4 months away, but I'm sure it'll be on us here quick. If you haven't had a chance to check out what we're doing for the Seaside Conference, the lineup is shaping up. Dr. Krista Burns is going to be our keynote speaker. That's going to be March 20th and 21st in Seaside at the Embassy Suites, like we were again, right adjacent to downtown Monterey. It was a great venue, great time. Really encourage you guys to get out there. Right next to the beach, walking distance, about a block away. So you could definitely get out and enjoy some of the stuff that's going on in that part of the state. So hopefully you've been keeping track or heard of the women's retreat that's coming up in January. That's filling up fast. There's a few more spots left. Please make sure you connect with either Dr. Anita Hawk about that. There's Dr. Barb Eaton. She's really the key note person there as far as that event goes. So that's coming up in just a few short weeks, really probably about 6 or 8 weeks, I believe. That's happening. I know some of you guys probably got a text just like I did about that coming up. So I wasn't sure if you are a male, you don't register for the women's retreat, but that's something that we can, even though you got the text, we can talk about some other retreats down the road and things like that. So but without further ado, I wanted to bring on today's guest. Let me bring him in here. Here he is, Dr. Ron Sims. How you doing today, sir?
Good, Dr. Phil. How's it going?
Good, buddy. Good. Dr. Ron and I have had a chance to start interacting a lot more lately through our ChiroTouch insider group that has been formed. And we spent some time at the beginning of the year down in San Diego together, did some brainstorming, and just got to know him a little better. As things have gone, I've come to understand he works with the Remarkable Practice in a consulting fashion, and I'm super excited to hear what he has to talk about today. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, Ron, and we'll go from there.
Oh, great. Thanks for having me on, by the way. Practicing chiropractor for 34 years, graduated from LACC, was an associate in Long Beach with Dr. Greg Judd, who was a great mentor to me. And then I relocated back to my hometown of El Dorado Hills, California. It's kind of near Folsom, California. And I'm just blessed to have just an amazing wife and 2 awesome adult children who are off my payroll, thankfully. And I have I have 2 practice locations, one in El Dorado Hills, one in Folsom, have 3 associates, and I'm just still having a blast. I love chiropractic. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
I love El Dorado Hills. My old mentor, Jim Nacarado, practiced there for a long time, and owe him a great debt of gratitude for the practice that I have and, the things that we do in our office and things of that nature. So tell us a little bit about how you came to start working with the TRP, and as it's affectionately known in the industry, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, great question. Like many of us, I was just building my practice on just sheer grit and enthusiasm and passion, and didn't really know what I didn't know at that time. And I got introduced to a gentleman named Matt Hubbard, former CCA president. Yeah. And Matt and I are close friends, and went and shadowed him one day, flew down to San Diego, hung out with him. And I was so impressed, not by Matt. Matt's an incredible chiropractor, but I was more enthralled by his CAs and how amazing they were and how calm, cool, and collected they were. And I just felt like, man, I got to figure out what's going on. And so that was probably 2005. And I decided to start a core philosophy group in Sacramento with Eric McKillican and Bob Grakowski and some other great chiropractors, Bill Bollinger, and the list goes on. And we would bring in guest speakers every month. And it was more focused around philosophy, but also a little bit of business building. And we did some technique stuff. And then we grew it to a point where we were able to have CE credits and whatnot. But during that journey, we had a guest come from the East Coast, Dr. Stephen Franson, who was friends with Dr. Bob Grakowski through their waiting list practice days with CJ Mertz.
Yeah.
And I literally remember texting my wife during his presentation that I found my new coach. I've always been a big believer in having a coach. I still am a coach under his tutelage. And that was my journey. That started 13 years ago. And I am loving it more than ever now. And now I'm on the other side of the relationship as a coach, and I'm getting to kind of see both sides, and it's really fun. I really enjoy it.
That's awesome. I've been learning a lot more about the TRP. One of my good buddies, Scott Sawyer, he's coaching with TRP too. And they were just sponsoring, or they put something up in the silent auction for Chiro Congress, which I was in Boston last week for. So that awesome. Looks like, they're doing some good stuff out there. And so excited to learn more just about that. But I wanted you to kind of describe, we're talking about this concept of the 4 seasons of your practice. Why don't you describe that concept to people that are with us today, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So if you look at the chiropractic arc of our careers, there's pretty much 4 seasons that you're in. You're either in launch mode, hopefully not for too long, but many of us launch from scratch. Not everybody on the call here bought a practice. And so, that launch phase, hopefully it's not too long. And then you get into build phase. And I feel like so many doctors get stuck in that phase. It's really hard to get out of that phase and work your way into scale. And I know you and I have talked about that, and there's some common pain points we see in the scale phase. And then there's the exit phase. Some of you may never exit your practice. You might die in your practice. You love it that much. But I think it's still important that we plan our careers and all of our business planning around those 4 seasons, try to identify where we're at and see if we want to go to that next season. Some are really happy just building, but some of you are at a point where you want to help other chiropractors be successful. And so you're starting to scale. And so, those are pretty much the 4 seasons that we each find ourselves in.
Nice. Well, let's dive in a little bit more then and keep talking about that, how we progress through each of those seasons and some of the problems that occur, maybe when things stall or, as you're going through the process.
Yeah. And I think for me, one of the greatest analogies I've heard about chiropractic when you're building a practice is you're pushing a boulder up a hill. And if you just take one hand off it, you slide back 3-4 steps, and you've got to have that constant tension. And one of the things we always say is that you can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. And I meet so many docs now that they're just so married to the practice, and they're so buried in the practice, both financially and time management, and they are missing out on some really important life stuff. And it really breaks my heart. And so I think for me, putting the right systems in place and creating the right process procedure. I think most coaching groups, Doc, are really good at teaching day 1, 2, 3. And that's where they often kind of fall short. And we find a lot of these practitioners have really, really poor retention scores. They got really low PVAs, and they are in constant build mode, stuck in this day 1, 2, 3 cycle. And so I think for me, my personal story was by implementing some of these amazing processes and procedures into my practice. And I could talk to you a little bit about that. We call it the accountability grid. But by establishing this accountability grid, I think is really the only way I was able to scale to multiple locations, multiple practitioners. It wasn't easy. It's still not easy. It's wicked, wicked hard. But the juice is definitely worth the squeeze, as you and I know. But because I know you're kind of running both clinics and doing your thing as well. But so the accountability grid's kind of that glue for me to keep me accountable.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about that accountability grid a little bit more. I know you, we have a QR code too, if anybody wants to get a hold of that accountability grid.
Absolutely. Yeah, and also, we do a strategy sessions with docs all the time. So if you're on this call and you're just thinking, man, I didn't know about any of this, and you really want to really start working on scaling, this accountability grid pretty much breaks chiropractic into 15 primary functions in the practice. And I think we have that to share. I'm not sure, but if not, they can follow the.
Yeah, I'm sure Tiffany will put up the QR code here in just a second.
Yeah, so if they want to open that, but if you look at the 5 vertical domains, Doc. We have attraction, conversion. That's actually the lead. This is a really good graphic too. I'd like to talk about that. But attraction, conversion, retention, team building, and finance. And so if we just kind of think about each one, attraction, for me, there's 3 categories. Internal attraction. It's that patient that found you and I just organically because their neighbor goes to us. Sometimes, as you know, it's somebody doesn't really remember who. It was around the water cooler at work, and somebody was raving about you and can't remember their name. And so we get those.
Do you have it on your screen, Ron, that you can share?
I can. Let me share that.
Yeah, because if you could share it, it'd be good for people to follow along.
Yeah, let me squint my eyes and let me find that. But yeah, it'd be good to kind of see it. You're not seeing my screen yet, are you?
No. So once you hit share screen, and
there we go. Yeah. So as you look at this, if we look at this first category, Doc, attraction. Now, some of us have really well-built systems for generating inside-out referrals. You might have a better results or a new patient workshop where you require guests to come. Some of you might require guests to come to the report of findings. And some of you just are really, really good at your table talk. And so, we find inside out happens organically, but it also can happen from an event that you did. And it can also happen as part of your process procedure. Now, external, I think a lot of us have fallen in love with digital, and it's a really saturated market now. And I have found in our practices that the good old fashioned roll up your sleeves external stuff works amazing. And then we have so we got external would be like spinal screenings, referral groups, and corporate wellness talks, things of that nature are the things we do in our practice. And then we have digital. And digital could be just, Google reviews, social media posts, podcasts. There's so many things we can do in the digital space. And if you notice, there's on each of those categories, there's a spot for a person's name. And some of you on this call may not have enough of a team to really put names on these boxes. And you might find that your name is on all 15. And if your name is on, and by the way, if your name is on all 15, you will never be able to scale. There is no way. You're going to be stuck in build mode forever. And so as I look at my box and my accountability grid, I've got it down to where I'm only on 5 boxes now. And it took some work, because we chiropractors tend to be a little bit controlling in our management style. And, we don't necessarily have the skill to train people up to do it the way we want to do it. We don't have the time, or we don't spend the time on training. And so we have, under attraction, we could talk all day about attraction. Then you have conversion. And like I said, there's so many good coaches out there, and there's great systems on day 1, 2, and 3. And many of you have been exposed to that. And so for us, day 1 is that new patient process. For us, day 2 is report of findings, which is recommendations for care. And we usually try to recommend lifetime wellness care. That just works for us. That's our philosophy. And we always try to plan with the end in mind. So I have one of my associates that's over that. My day 1, I have what's called a new patient concierge in my practice. And I know a lot of you guys struggle with processing new patients. And staying on time. We get behind, and you come out of a new patient, you got an adjustment area full of people waiting, your heart rate's up, and it's just a stressful thing. And so I developed a new patient concierge. They do 75% of day 1. And some of it we have to do, I know. But I'll tell you, that has saved me, because our new patient is in 1 hour appointment. And so we're able to, on day 1, we always say in our practice, 80-20. 80% of that visit is about them feeling heard, feeling like you understand their story. I feel like too often we want to tell them about how great we are. And so we try to keep that 80-20 rule. And then you got retention. Retention is, for us, starts at conversion. If we convert people the way we're supposed to, then we have an easier time of retaining them. But a lot of the docs that I meet, they don't do a lot of re-exams, doc, and they get so busy. And you know, you get chiropractic is hands-on and it's touchy-feely, and we get to know people, we get to know about their kids, and we almost become friends with our clients too much. And we kind of take our eye off the ball as far as having these objective measurement sessions where we can do some re-exams. You may not have technology. You could do posture exams and spinal motion exams. There's so many objective tools that are at the chiropractor's disposal. And I feel like retention is where we are weakest as a profession.
Yeah.
And then we have team building. You know, we talk about team meetings, but we also talk about team training. And team training is for us role playing. We have 13 members on our team, and we role play every single process in our practice where we pretend, where you're the new patient or you're the patient and I'm the doctor, and then we switch. You're the CA, you're the patient, and we role play. And at first, most of my team was super uncomfortable, but now they love training. It's one of their favorite things to do in that team building category. And then lastly is collections, financial plans, you know, HR, all these different things that we need to look at. And if you break it down, there's 15 of them. And so I know I just kind of put it all out there for you. If you think of
I love it, man.
Yeah. If you want me to reiterate one thing or maybe zero in on
No,
it.
no, I'm going to have to make sure I get a copy from you because I want to audit
sure.
my own systems. But I keep thinking about how you said, when I was working with Jim, he always said similarly, your life happens while you build your practice, so and having these kind of systems in place and staying re-exam focused is what allows you to be able to develop that kind of retention and that kind of thing. So I love what you're putting out there. And I think there's a lot of good info here for people, that are looking to maybe add an associate or grow into a second clinic and that kind of thing, which, like you said, we've talked about a little bit. But let's shift gears a little bit because I know you also have this lead infographic that we wanted to share a little bit today too, because I think that's some other really valuable content. If you're on this call today, you're getting some gold. Hopefully, let your friends know, or if you have any questions in the chat, please put them in the chat just because I think there's some good stuff here. So let's go into the lead infographic.
Absolutely. And I think you guys have that one. Did you want me to share it? Or are you going to share it?
Yeah, Tiffany's going to put it up right now. There we go.
Okay,
Perfect.
got it.
You're up.
Okay, yeah. So, really at the end of the day, when we set our vision for my practice for next year, which we just got done with, is setting those Q1 goals and then our whole annual goals. Really, it comes down to net momentum. And so if you want to grow by 50 visits per week this year, then you got to really look closely at your monthly net mo. And what net momentum is essentially, and I know there's a lot of stuff in there, but really at the end of the day, it's your new patients minus the people that have gone inactive. And in our practice, someone is deemed inactive if they haven't been with us for 30 days, or if they are on a specific care plan, they just simply dropped off. So in Chiro Touch, we make them inactive. And so, okay. You start looking at that stick rate and going, for us, we do a really, really intense re-exam at the 4-month mark. We call it intensive care. And at that re-exam, that stick rate, to your point earlier, is in the first visit in our practice, new patients, we don't go super deep on analytical with x-ray and exams because a lot of these folks are in pain. They're in an emotional state of mind. And it's really not the time to give them a dissertation on x-ray. And I think too often doctors are trying to prove themselves too much to them at that point of trying to show them how much they know. And instead, we should make that 80% about them and their symptom and their problem, which is really their life effect, right? At the end of the day, it's their life effect. It's not the sciatica. It's what the sciatica is preventing them from doing, whether it be golf or yard work. And so we try to drill more in on the problem, the life effect, to get to really know them. What do they want to do? What are they missing out on socially, physical fitness wise, even just emotionally, or maybe they're on meds, whatever. And it's just not the right time to speak to their left brain. You do have to a little bit, I get it. But where we really go deeper on that is as they begin to get better results, they start feeling better. and they're more likely to be a flight risk and not follow through on the care plan. That's when we have these key measurement points where we can now go left brain, where we pop up their core score. We use the subluxation station, works great for this. We'll pop up their core score and show them their objective improvement, but then we pop up that x-ray, and that's when I start going a little bit deeper on that x-ray. And then at month 4, which is our final re-exam, we do some spot x-rays, and we do another core score. And then we have a second report of findings where we literally sit down with them and we treat that visit like we did day 2 with the same level of respect and reverence. And that one is way more left brain in my practice because you're feeling better. And I always ask these key questions. On day 2, I ask them, if you chose not to start chiropractic care today, what do you think would happen to your spinal condition? And often they'll say, well, it would, as you're saying, it would degenerate and continue to get worse. And then I ask, is that what you want? And then we usually have about a 90% conversion rate at that point. And then at month 4, I ask them, hey, if you decided to discontinue chiropractic care at this point, what do you think happens? And I want to hear what they say. I feel like so often we're trying to say what we want to say, but what do they think?
Sure.
Yeah. So this works great for that. This is a great metric.
And I know, I think you had do we have another QR code if people wanted this lead flow worksheet as well?
No, but if they opt in to that other one, I'll find out a way to get that to them.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But simply put, you have a lead that comes in, could be a health talk, could be, they saw your Google ad. So to us, that's a lead. Then what percent of them show up on day 1? So that new patient appointment stick rate. And then what percent of those day 1s actually get to the report? So the report show rate. And then what percent actually start care? So you might get, let's say 20 new patients in a month. Let's say 16 show up. You get 14 to the report, and let's say 10 start care. So that means 50% of your leads started care.
Okay.
But meanwhile, you had 12 people either move away or drop off care. And now you're at a -2 net momentum, and you're just not going to grow, and you might shrink, and you'll have those lean weeks, And so if you kind of think about these different kind of stick rates and see what your churn rate is, and I guess what I'm saying, Doc, is the more you do re-exams and the more you have these objective appointments, the higher your stick rate is, and you'll have much, much greater retention scores.
I keep thinking as I'm listening to you that this is like inspecting your practice, right? And the things that you inspect grow. And,
right.
When people are searching for how do I get my practice to grow, right? Or even how do I scale my practice? In my mind or in my life, I've used this tool called the Winner's Journal, right? Which is something my dad turned me on to many years ago. And it's a great tool that helps you set goals, do affirmations, all of those kind of things. But it really teaches you how to build your goals, right? One step at a time. And these tools right here feel like they are equipping you to build your practice because you can't just show up. You can't just hang your shingle and expect it all to unfold, right? The things that you inspect increase. So I love these tools that you're offering people the opportunity to utilize. So, okay, well, we got just a couple of more minutes. I just wanted to tell people how they connect with you if they want to have questions or want to get more info and those kind of things.
Absolutely. So if you follow that QR code that Tiffany put up there, it will send you the accountability grid, but there's also a form in there you can fill out that will allow you to set up a free, no cost basic visit, like a phone visit with me, where it'd be like a strategy session and really kind of have somebody ask you all the right questions. And like you said, what you inspect tends to grow. As an example for us on the new patients, we kind of took our eye off external during COVID. A lot of docs did that, and we've had a lot of internal new patients, and lately we've cranked it back up again. It's been really fun. So I think you kind of look at that accountability grid, and it will really help you find out where you need to tighten things up. There's a little spot for a score on there, Doc. Okay. And I tell the docs out there, make sure you score yourself realistically, and you'll see where your weaknesses are. And if you and I are doing a fitness program, we got to figure out where our weaknesses are before we know how to train in the gym. So same kind of analogy, but fill out the QR or follow the QR code, and then there's a form in there that will be sent to you. Fill out that form. The team that supports me will set up, a strategy session with me. I love doing that. It's super fun. I love meeting chiropractors. I love referring to chiropractors. I tell you, I'm the number one referral source in about 7 different practices right now. People that, oh, you live in Boise? Boom. You live in LA? Boom. I love referring to chiropractors. So at a minimum, get to know me because I'm a really good referral source.
That's awesome, Ron. I really appreciate it, man. And you guys are doing some great things with TRP. I can see just from, obviously talking with you and knowing Scott and my buddy TJ's client there as well. So
yeah,
really cool stuff. All right. Well, let's try to give away some money here today.
Yeah.
We're running up against our timer, our clock. And so let your friends know it's time to come on if they just want to be here to win the money. And they should scan this QR code before it's too late so that they get all the gold that we offered today. So, all right. It looks like we're going to do 6 names. We got $600. So let's try to give away some money. Jacob Stubes. I know Jacob. That's Jacob's down in like the Central Coast, I believe, Santa Barbara area. And I just saw Dr. Charles Decker on there too. Dr. Charles has been working with my dad in the associate capacity for well over 30 years. And I think that's what I wish we had a little bit more time, or maybe we could talk more about how to retain associates, because like you said, I think you brought up some good points, or maybe you can, in between the next spin of the wheel, you can talk to that a little bit, just because, I think that's always the challenge, right? Like you said, if you, just as you're getting things going, if an associate leaves you, then you're back to how do I grow mode again, right? Kind of thing.
You're right, man. I'll tell you, it's so frustrating. I think the big problem in chiropractic.
Hold on, just a sec, Ron. Let me just. We're gonna do that. I don't see Jacob with us today, so let's do name number 2. Gerardo Rodriguez, you are name number 2. Let's see if you're here to collect your money. But go ahead, Ron. You were going to say?
Oh no, just because I was going to say, I think chiropractors were notorious for hiring people from our gut. I like the kid, I believe in the kid, and we end up trying to fit square pegs in round holes. And I think the key is figuring out what it is you want. Do you want a business builder or do you want a caregiver? If you want a business builder and you try to fit a caregiver into that role, it's going to be disastrous. And vice versa. So for me, I spend a lot of time on determining what it is I want, and then I hire to that based on their PDP, their disc profile, all that.
Ooh, I love the disc profile too, buddy. Yes. All right. Well, I don't see Gerardo Rodriguez with us here today, so let's do name number 3. Mark Rubens, you are name number 3. I'll have to send you. I just developed this thing called the Chiropractic Residency Manual. I'll have to send you a copy. I'd love to get your opinion, because I talk a lot about the disc profile in that as well. I feel like in our profession, the associate pathway is our residency opportunity, right? For lack of a better term. And
Absolutely.
So I think that you and I are very aligned in a lot of that stuff. So Mark Rubens, you were named number 3. I don't know if I see Mark in the chat. Thank you, Marissa. Oh, gosh, I was getting worried. I didn't see anybody in the chat there for a minute, and I wasn't sure if we had anybody to help me keep track today. So let's do name number 4. John Zimmerman, you're name number 4. Let's see if you're here to collect your money. I wanted to ask you, when you are doing those disc profiles, are you looking for a particular type of profile in the disc?
Yeah, I think, for me, if I'm looking for a caregiver, I don't necessarily need somebody who has a high dominance score.
Okay.
A dominant personality is going to be a business builder. They're going to be wanting to start their own practice. If you're looking to accumulate a caregiver and have them for a long period of time, you need to have more of a medium dominance. You don't want them to be a total pushover either. Otherwise, patients will walk all over them. And then, I like somebody who's slightly on the extroversion side. And then, as you go through these, high cooperation, high compliance.
All right. Well, we're going to expand upon that here.
What's that?
Expand upon that here in just a second. I got to do name number, I believe it's name number 5. We got to do name number 5. Eric Babayan, you are name number 5. Let's see if you are here. I have a question in the chat. It asks, what is a disc profile?
I'll let you answer that because you're the Chiro job site guy.
All right, man. Well, the disc profiles are personality profile that I use with a lot of my customers and clients, and it basically helps you to identify, like you said, the strengths and weaknesses. If you want the residency manual, hit me up and you can read more about it. I always, like you said, if you're a promoter and a producer, you're likely going to want to start your own practice eventually, right? Which if you want to, have somebody come in that does that, there's pluses and minuses to it, but obviously you got to be ready to hire, again, relatively soon kind of thing, right? So that's sort of what you were talking about with the high dominance. So, all right, that was name number 5. Let's do name number 6. Jeffrey Stoltenberg, your name number 6. But yeah, we can certainly talk more about that too. I'd love it. We should do another broadcast just about that kind of stuff because I think
I would love that. I don't know if it's inappropriate to say something right now, but I'm not saying that I hired a business builder, but his contract is far different than when I would give a caregiver. It's got a lot of upside incentives, a lot of bonus structures based on volume, new patient acquisition. So I just structured it different for him. And
that's what you have to do, man. You have to do because people that are promoters are going to respond to incentives for sure. So.
Absolutely.
Well, that was name number 6. It doesn't look like Jeffrey's here with us today, which means next week we will be offering up $700. I'm not sure. I'll have to see if I can get somebody to host the show next week because I'm going to be in Hawaii for my 50th birthday. I'm turning 50 on Saturday and going to Hawaii for a week. So
happy birthday.
Not sure if we'll see you guys next
Thanksgiving.
What's that, buddy?
Isn't the show on Thanksgiving?
It would be. So I guess we're not doing one anyways. So I hate missing the show. I like to give away the money and I like, broadcasting. So, well, thanks so much for being on with us. Look forward to our next opportunity to interact, man.
Thanks, Doc. I really enjoyed my time and thank you for your leadership. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Good to see you.